Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed an honor to be here present with an eminent audience and eminent panelists. It gives me great pleasure to talk a little bit about our development that we have carried out in the Middle East in Abu Dhabi, which is the capital city of the UAE. And I would like to now perhaps describe the development in terms of not only what the design has tried to bring about in terms of the entire end product, but how the design had to meet with a very clear and strict bottom line objective. Alda Properties is a listed company, and therefore return to shareholder became a very important criteria in carrying out every single development that we carry out within our portfolio. As of 1st July this year, Alda Properties and Suroh Real Estate, the two largest listed companies in Abu Dhabi, merged, and therefore in my presentation you may see an interchange between the two companies' names, Alda and Suroh. So that is just to describe the fact that now that both developers have come together. At the onset, I would like to dedicate this entire development to the 12,000 women and men who came together to create this project in Abu Dhabi, both from a significant landmark point of view and also from a viable development point of view. Initially, the credits are what you can see on the screen, and certainly a special mention goes to my three-man team, which have worked very closely with me to achieve the objectives of this particular development. Going forward, just a quick point to put everything in context. UAE is in the Middle East. Abu Dhabi is the capital of the UAE, and you may have heard of the more famous city in Abu Dhabi, in the UAE as well, which is Dubai. We are very close by, 100 kilometers from each other, and certainly there are quite a number of developments that have come across, and CTBUH has acknowledged a number of them. Within the Abu Dhabi context, the Abu Dhabi city itself, the capital city, is situated within an island, and this particular island has a hinterland which forms its entire metropolitan area. Within the island of Abu Dhabi, there has been over the last few years an expansion of development in terms of new urban development as an extension to the CBD, and the Shams Abu Dhabi district is a newly created landmass that is adjacent to the current CBD, and it has formed an extension of the CBD in a very organized manner. As you can see, the entire Reem Island, which is adjacent to the current CBD of Abu Dhabi, has three master developers developing the entire Reem Island. Alda is one of them, and the slide that you see over here basically describes the Shams Abu Dhabi development, within which the Gateway complex occupies a very prominent and a narrow introduction to the Shams Abu Dhabi development. If we try to look at it in more detail, you would see that the Gateway development comprises of three phases. The Sun and Sky Towers is the first phase, which is completed. The Gate Towers, which is the project that I'm going to talk to you about, and phase 3, which will be done at a later date. Within the context of the entire footprint where the Sun and Sky Towers and the Gate Towers exist, the two towers, Sun and Sky Towers, now complete, and I'm happy to say that it is about 95% occupied, and it has produced very clear, viable results for us. We have made a margin of about 21% on cost on this property, and an internal rate of return from the retained income properties that we have, including the retail and the office, of about 22%. So it has indeed proven to be a viable development. And that set the stage for the creation of the Gate development. And this is particularly important because if you were to look at the entire context of the development in what we have done, the Gateway actually now forms basically one of the Middle East's largest developments at the present moment, and it signifies a very strong entrance to Shams Abu Dhabi. All this started in August 2005 when the architects, Arquitectonica, began designing the project, and the concepts were developed in close cooperation with all the different stakeholders under a very tight schedule. So in August 2005, the design started, and in March 2006, the designs were completed and the project was launched in 2006 April. I think on a lighter note, I'd like to also say that this may put to rest where I'm often asked this question, did Marina Bay Sands design come first, or did your design come first? Who copied whom? I think it's not a matter of copying. I think we completed the design first. We had a stage process. We had 3 phases of the entire gateway that needed to be carried out. And certainly we carried out the Sun and Sky Towers first, and our gate towers came subsequent to that. Of course, Marina Bay Sands got built faster. So I think that kind of puts to a bit of rest which project came first. The complexity of the project, I think, needs to be explained here a bit. It required a phased construction. It was very important. The first phase began with the Sun and Sky Towers, as I mentioned earlier. And these are a pair of elliptical buildings that you see here. And these were actually linked on the ground floor level to the gate towers. And the gate towers within the 3 tall towers that you see, they are linked at the sky bridge level as well. I think it's also important to say that when the economic crisis hit us in 2008, it certainly slowed down our construction of the gate towers and the Sun and Sky Towers, which was going on simultaneously. But it gave us a lot of time and input to carry out value engineering and reconfigure the gate towers so that it could become a recurring income product as well as a sale product. So we had to be very nimble on our feet as a developer, revert to designs that were able to cater to the market in terms of a leasing product rather than a sale product, because sales actually slowed down considerably. So this basically improved our overall recurring income portfolio and hence our internal rate of returns. Now, a very important thing that I wanted to mention here is before we carried out the designs of the Sun and Sky Towers, when the designers carried out their first sketches, we told them, okay, please let's take a back seat and re-look at how the building is going to be actually configured in terms of its ownership and its management structure. So we went into quite detail into how the titular structure of the development was going to be created, how you were going to break up the different users within the development, and how you were eventually going to manage the 3 different the 3 different mixed-use users in the Sun and Sky Towers, for example. So based on this, then we started creating, greater emphasis on the design. And this is what was created at the end of the day and was eventually delivered and now currently is being managed quite efficiently. And as I mentioned, the KPIs have been already achieved for this particular development. The Sun and Sky Towers essentially have been the first phase, and a little bit of description. The Sun and Sky Towers basically are residential, commercial, and retail in nature. The Sky Tower, for example, stands at 74 stories and is 293 meters in height. The Sun Towers at 65 stories and at 232 meters in height. I'm also proud to say that the CTBUH had acknowledged the Sky Tower as one of the nominees in the 2011 awards that were carried out in the last few years. So the Sun and Sky Towers completed, and here are some of the relationships that you see within the gate tower. The gate tower has an arc building which is related very closely, and this is the link that you see between the Sun and Sky Towers and the gate towers at the ground level, and then we also have the link of the 3 towers at the sky level. Some of the various services and amenities that have been incorporated into the Sun and Sky Towers, which sets the tone and the standard and quality that we had to achieve in the gate towers as well. So this is just to give you a perspective of how we bring a viable product to the market, and then not only creating the viable product in terms of its design, how it meets the objectives of a very strong bottom line perspective. So just like we did for the Sun and Sky Towers, we formed the building management statement in terms of its ownership and management. Then we also formed the same statement for the gate towers before Arquitectonica and the designers carried out the design. So it's a very busy slide. Of course, you can see it in the in your handouts later. But certainly this formed the basis on which then the second phase of the development was carried out. Essentially, the second phase of development is on the gate. This particular development comprises of 3,533 apartments, and the towers are arranged in a gentle concave facing the rest of the island and the city. And these are some of the perspectives. They are rectilinear in plan and section, and as a counterpoint to the elliptical nature of the Sun and Sky Towers. The Gate Towers plans also, they offer a more regular apartment layout and support the development by offering a wider product range. As I mentioned earlier, we had to change and be very nimble on our feet and formed a different type of product so that we could cater to the market at that stage because the market was already slowing down for sales. Okay, let me try and speed it up a little bit here. Well, the construction started sometime in late 2008, early 2009, and essentially the gate structural design is a reinforced concrete system, and the foundation is a continuous raft extending over the full plot of about 6.7 hectares in size, and it sits on top of about 4,100 piles. The typical flooring system is made of reinforced concrete, and the podium and post-tension flat slab system was incorporated into the entire development. Here you see the development at somewhat 30% of its construction, and eventually when the 3 towers were up, one of the most significant things that we had to do was to connect the Sky Bridge, which I will talk about in the slides that are supposed to come. So as you can see from the perspective, the arc forms part of the entire development and is connected through the podium. This particular area over here became part of the overall shared amenities and services. And certainly as the development progressed, it stood in contrast to the Sun and Sky Towers, as you can see on the side. This particular development is by a different developer, a sub-developer on the island, and they have taken advantage of their proximity, and in terms of the success, it has also spilled over from an economic point of view to them. So it's not only created success for us, but also for the other sub-developers within the development. More perspectives, and this is a perspective that describes the overall development at its 70% stage. Okay, another perspective. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about the way the Sky Bridge has actually been built. Now, the Sky Bridge is one of the most distinctive elements of the project. It connects all the 3 towers, and basically it houses 21 breathtaking duplex penthouses. 16 of the penthouses will have an indoor pool, and they will overlook the city. The Sky Bridge's length is approximately 300 meters, and it extends beyond the edge of the 3 towers by about 25 meters. And essentially what you're seeing here is the entire process through which we carried out the Sky Bridge lifting. It started in February 2012, and I'm going to quickly go through this to show you the sequences. Basically, the structure between the 2 towers was constructed at a podium height level, and then these were lifted through a strand jacking system. The contractor, Eversendai, is an expert in strand jacking and has carried out the strand jacking for Marina Bay Sands and numerous other bridge projects throughout the world. And what we had to do was to assemble each one of these under somewhat extenuating circumstances, because it was summer and temperatures reached almost 50 degrees centigrade on the ground. And during that time, we also had to weather a number of very strong sandstorms during that particular period. So eventually what we did was we managed to complete the entire thing within a space of 8 months, and this encompassed 4 different strand jacking procedures for 4 different structures. And here you see actually the second last structure coming up, and eventually you are seeing the last structure which was carried on in May 2012. The 4th lift essentially involved the cantilevered structure that was put in place, and eventually this was met with a lot of jubilation by the team, which worked very hard to carry this very distinct and unique lift. So in summary, at that stage, what happened was we carried out one of the highest and largest, heaviest lifts for a residential property, for a real estate development to date. I'm sure these records will be broken in due course, but certainly this had a lot of learning points for us in terms of the weather, in terms of the type of operable stability that we required, and in terms of the kind of crew and expertise that we needed. So here you are, when the structures were put in place, you can see the oculi which is a distinct form of the entire property. And once it was put in place, then the rail work began. And here you can see that there are two main trusses, on one on each face, and they carry loads in circumference direction of each structure. And I'm going to again quickly let you have a look at some of the completed works that eventually were carried out. This is part of the oculi, and the oculi actually has a number of penthouses which are facing into the oculi. Yes, it could be quite an exciting and a dramatic experience for some if you're suffering from heights, but certainly from this location, you have extremely interesting vantage views. Over here, interesting thing that was done, the net maker Megame installed a net below the structures so that the underpinning and the cladding systems could be installed. This was quite, again, a dramatic job, and you can see here in the slides how the various crew members worked very hard to complete the job, and this involved quite an extensive and interesting creation. So very quickly, this is what we had at a 70% stage, and then we carried out the entire lifting structure, and then here you are, the completed property. You can see the oculi and the penthouses are currently being feverishly being put into place. This is the last piece of the puzzle. We have actually obtained our completion certificates for the entire building except for the penthouse structure. That will be completed fairly soon. So here is the completed product, the lobbies, and we are very happy to also have incorporated very good services and facilities. I'm fully aware of the 5-minute warning, so I'm going to quickly go through this entire last bit of the presentation, which shows the completed property, well-positioned, well-appointed apartments to create that social sustainability that we always want to aim for a development of this nature. So very quickly, I'm going to end up with a quick 2-minute video, which will fall within the 5-minute time warning. And here you are. These are some of the completed. This is the rail stuff, the rail McCoy, the completed apartments now ready to be presented to the various owners as we speak. They are being handed over. This development has been featured in a number of magazines, and it has won 4 different international awards to date throughout the region and the Gulf. So the completed product, and this is what we are seeing today. These pictures were freshly sent to me 2 days ago. And let's see whether this works. A quick roundup to just tell you that there is a sustainability quotient in an entire thing at a more environmental level. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to have addressed you, and thank you for being a very attentive audience. Thank you.